Joining us now is our good friend Terry Kilgore, House of Delegates member from Southwest Virginia, the Caucus of the Corn, led by Speaker Eileen Fillercorn, and Caucus of the Corn, the nutball left-wing clown show, about to go on Zoom. They're not coming to the General Assembly. So here's what they're doing, and I'm going to start with this for Representative Kilgore and then move on. So get this in the Virginia Star. Go to thevirginiastar.com. So the Caucus of the Corn and the Democrats, they don't want to come to Richmond. They want to do this by Zoom, and they want to sit in their house in their pajamas and do Zoom all day. That's fine. Okay. But they also want to collect your per diem, which is like $220 a day. So the per diem is meant to defray your travel costs when you come to Richmond and have access to the people. No, they want to sit home in their pajamas and collect their $200. Don't pass go. Pass go, collect $200. Don't go to work. Just collect your $200 a day by sitting home in your PJs. Now what they want to do is they feel they're a priority to get a vaccine because they're essential people. But they're not coming to Richmond. So let me get this straight. You're a Democrat in the House of Delegates. You're not coming to Richmond. You're not coming to the Capitol to be able to talk to constituents that want access to you. And so you're not doing that. And you have no availability to the media, so you're not doing that. And you want to sit home and do Zoom, and you want to collect $220 a day from our taxpayer money to sit home, and then you want the vaccine because you're now designated as an essential worker in Virginia, and so you want to go ahead of older people, you want to go ahead of hospital workers, you want to go ahead of people to get the vaccine because you don't want to be exposed, but yet you're sitting home collecting $200. For the life of me, what have I missed here, folks? Joining us now to break all this down and the agenda is House of Delegates Senior Leader Terry Kilgore, Southwest Virginia. Delegate Kilgore, great to have you with us.
Hey, great to be with you, John, and thanks for all that you do to get our message out.
Have I kind of summed up what's going on here?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting session. We start today at noon, and, you can already see what's coming or what's going to be attempted to come at us with some of the bills that have been filed, and we're just ready to fight. And, I really believe, like you were saying earlier, that 2021 is going to be a great year for us, and we're going to move our conservative agenda forward in 2021, and we're going to get back control of the House of Delegates.
Let's get to just a couple political issues and then go to the agenda. Terry Kilgore with us. Number one is the Republican caucus, led by your minority leader, Todd Gilbert. You guys have rejected the per diem because you're like, we're not going to take a per diem when we're sitting at home. The per diem is for travel. So the Democrats are still taking the per diem. So why do you get $220 to sit on your butt at home on Zoom? How's that work?
Well, I think what they're saying is that during the session, during the regular session, is they're saying that basically that, hey, we got to, we're doing this all day. And as compared to the special session, I guess, where we were doing it maybe a couple hours a day, our days are going to, looking at the schedule, I don't know if you've looked at the schedule, it's going to start at 7 and go to 10 o'clock at night, if you follow the schedule, and the times have changed too. We're meeting at 4 o'clock every day when session starts, except today we meet at 12, but the rest of the time we're going to be meeting at 4 o'clock. So it's going to be a interesting, and I'm just not sure how the public's going to get their say on a lot of this legislation, because it's hard to get into these Zoom meetings for the public, especially those who do not have great computer skills. It's going to be difficult to get your voices heard from your voices from constituents out there who we represent.
Let's go to the vaccine. There was an edict by the governor. Why are legislators now that aren't going to travel, that are staying at home on Zoom or in their office, why are they prioritized to get a vaccine when they're staying at home?
A good question. I got that message. I'm not getting one. I'm waiting on folks like my parents who are in their 80s and folks like that to get their vaccines first, and that's what we should do. But this whole vaccine rollout in Virginia has been a nightmare. We've got all these vaccines that are ready to go, but we can't get them out. We need to do like other states are doing and get the private sector involved in getting our vaccines out to those people who, the folks over 75, the folks who have medical conditions, our healthcare workers, our law enforcement. We've got to do a better job in Virginia of getting those vaccines out, and that's through the private sector. Get with the private sector, work with the private sector, get to our nursing homes. That's where we've had a lot of deaths in our nursing homes. Get there, get these vaccines out.
What about the fact that, and I'm going to just go to the state Senate side a second with the governor. We had an unfortunate member on the Republican caucus pass on January 1st, Ben Chafin, friend of many of ours, great guy, and unfortunately he passed. And there should be a special election for that, like within a month, right? Because that's normally the way it goes. Yet Northam doesn't give the writ until the governor of Virginia doesn't give the writ until the end of March, which is the end of the General Assembly. So this is a Republican district. So instead of the Republicans being down 21-19, they're down 21-18. And so that makes it easier for the left-wing progressive legislation to get through some of the moderates that are in the state Senate on the D side. Peterson, Cray Deeds, just to name a few, Morrissey. So, but yet, when there was a vacancy in the House, well, that was filled in a month. Can you reconcile that for us, please?
No, absolutely. It's not defensible. We'll have most of Southwest Virginia, or half of Southwest Virginia, all the way up to Radford is going to be will be unrepresented during this in the state Senate this year, and it is a Republican seat. Ben was a great friend of mine. Really pained me to see Ben pass, and some of the issues that he really worked hard to bring jobs to Southwest Virginia, and was just a great all around guy. But for the governor to put this off till March 23rd is just unbelievable. And you're right. If you look back through the special elections that we've had, we've caught them within a month. And that's what we were preparing for here in Southwest Virginia, to go ahead and get this and get someone in that seat. And now all these folks are going to be unrepresented in Richmond. And you're right, it will, one vote a lot of times in the Senate last year stopped a lot of this bad legislation, like the Green New Deal and repealing right to work, doing away with qualified immunity for our police officers. So, folks, buckle up. Some of those bills are coming back, and I think that's exactly what the governor did here.
It's shameful. I mean, the political shenanigans that goes on constantly is just with this governor is beyond the pale, and it just never stops. I mean, the guy and the power that he's got. I mean, is there ever going to be a motion or something in the General Assembly to question when Governor Northam's emergency powers go away? Is this going to carry over to as people that are not from Virginia don't understand that the governor here can only run one term, so we'll have a gubernatorial election in 2021. Does the power transfer over?
Well, I mean, it's going to, if we were in control or had the control of the House, everything, we would have definitely tried to challenge some of these emergency powers, because, as our kids are not back. Our kids have been out of school in a lot of areas. Our businesses have been closed, shuttered. We've lost a lot of small businesses out here, and that's because of some of these emergency powers. And, watching a lot of people saying, hey, you can't do anything to Twitter or Facebook. They're private companies. Well, what about all these other private companies we've shuttered, closed down, small businesses on Main Street? There's no difference. So we've got to do better as a Commonwealth and as a country when we use these emergency powers.
Terry Kilgore with us, House of Delegates member, Southwest Virginia in leadership. Terry, what is your agenda? I mean, it's tough going in here as the minority. You got a 5-seat minority. You can't get anything done. The caucus of the corn is very left-wing, very progressive. What is your agenda?
Well, I mean, our agenda, basically, we got to get our kids back in school. That's something I know the whole caucus is going to be. Our caucus is going to be working on getting businesses open and being the voice of reason in Richmond. To talk about what it's going to do to our economic development if we repeal right to work. To talk about what it's going to do to our law officers if we repeal qualified immunity, or how much your energy bills are going to go up if we enact some of the Green New Deal. So, they're good bills that we can work on. One thing that I've worked on in the past, and I know that Delegate Adams, who's a Democrat, a good friend of, she's wanting to expand telemedicine, and that's something I've worked on in the past. That's something we can all work on. Telemedicine's something that's good. We also need to, greater oversight and transparency over the parole board. As you've witnessed, a lot of bad things going on there. But also we got to get this vaccine out.
That's been an absolute disaster. I mean, this governor is so it's some combination of incompetence and political manipulation, and I mean, this has got to be the most incompetent executive we've ever had in the mansion. And I know he served. I know he was a doctor. He's a doctor, and he was a good doctor. But as far as running a state, the guy's totally incompetent. His staff, I like Clark Mercer as chief of staff. I'm not sure what his involvement is, but this whole thing has been botched. Terry Kilgore with us. All right, Terry, we're going to take a few phone calls here for Delegate Kilgore. Let's go to Corey in Charlottesville on line 4. Corey, you're live with John Fredericks and House of Delegates member Terry Kilgore, Southwest Virginia, Republican.
Yes. Hey, this may be, I don't hope it's not too conspiracy theory, but I got a feeling I've been hearing some articles about what Trumpers, quote unquote, are doing and not doing. And I feel like I was wondering, do you feel they're going to paint us in such a bad light that they're trying to crush us? Like the one I just seen where somebody carved Trump in the side of a manatee. That's not something we've ever done anything like that before. So I don't know. I was just curious what you feel.
I'll turn it over to Terry Kilgore, who represents a district that went probably 70% for Trump. 80%. 80%. How do you respond to that, Delegate Kilgore? 80%.
I mean, obviously the left is going to come after us, and what we forget, and what a lot of the media forgets, if you call it the media, they're not doing much anymore, but they forget how they attacked the president and how they said that the 2016 election was was obtained by fraud and Russia and all that, and they're going to go after us conservatives. They're going to go after Republicans. They're going to try to destroy our name, our party, and what we stand for. But what we got to remember is that just like they didn't condemn, they didn't condemn any of the violence this summer. I can't count hardly any Democrats that condemned the violence back in the summer. So we've got to move on and fight hard and fight harder, really, and learn from our mistakes. And if we're going to be doing all this absentee voting and everything, then we as Republicans have to get in the game too.
We're always the adult in the room, and we always try to play fair, and we always try to play by the rules, and they never do. Are we ever going to pick up their tactics?
No.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. We want to be fair and we want to be legal, but I come from the Fighting Knights down here in Knights Congressional District, where it was a tough, rough and tumble politics when I was growing up, and that's how you got to remember that it's in politics is just like a war. You've got to put your best foot forward and move forward and get your folks organized, and we've got to do a better job at that. And our Republican Party of Virginia has to do a better job. I've been calling on them to do that for years. We've got to change our strategies.
Let me ask you something, Delegate Kilgore. The state central vote tomorrow, the nominating process, you first voted for a convention. Now they're trying to change it to go back to a primary. Everybody knows I hate conventions. But I think changing this thing again is a further embarrassment and disaster for us. How do you stand on that?
Oh, I agree with you, John, and I think that let's just stick with what we got. The convention, that what they voted for sounded like it might be okay as long as they have different places in parts of the state where folks can get to, unlike the travesty that happened down in the congressional district down there where there's only one place, but you got to have different polling places or different places to vote, and I think that's the way to go because we've got to come out of this with a strong gubernatorial candidate. If we have a strong gubernatorial candidate, we can take back the House of Delegates and move forward. But if we choose the wrong person for the gubernatorial candidate, it's going to hurt the whole ticket.
I mean, that's the understatement of the day. No question about it. I mean, you actually do, and we talk about taking general assemblies over, there's actually an opportunity with redistricting for the Republicans to win a majority back. But if you have a weak ticket at the top that drives voters away, you're going to have no chance at that. So you're going to have to be competitive. And that's why I think the nominating process is already set. I think you go forward with it, and you get whatever nominee comes out of it. And I'm going to say it again, manipulating the nominating process to favor or disfavor a potential nominee of a party is really playing with fire. It never works. It always backfires, and hopefully that's not going to happen again on Saturday. Delegate Terry Kilgore, thank you for being with us. Thanks for that update, sir. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
John Fredericks Radio Network.